Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 18th of March. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie. How are we doing, Joshua?
Good. We were just chatting off there, Derek, about the nerves of the first half last night, and kind of it was such a disjointed game to watch, wasn't it? But no, I really enjoyed it. Fantastic achievement, just in and of itself, for Rangers to be in the last eight of the tournament. And I think, as the mantra now goes, Derek, who knows what can happen from here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a terrific achievement. We'll talk about that very shortly indeed. Before we do so, if you're watching us on YouTube, folks, thousands of you are now, so thanks very much for doing so. If you hit that subscribe button, it means that you'll never miss a video when we go live. And if you haven't already taken advantage of the website, I'd urge you all to do so. It's rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. You'll find content that you won't find anywhere else in the media at present covering Rangers. Just £2.99 a month. It really is cracking value. Okay, Joshua, let's talk about last night then. Rangers headed over to Belgrade with that 3-0 advantage from last week. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst kept the same 11 that started that game. And I mean, they looked spooked, to have to say, in the first 10 minutes of the game. Of course, Red Star got that goal, they got their tails up, but Rangers from then on sort of grew into the game and looked comfortable for me in the main. Allan McGregor, of course, being called upon on several occasions. He was absolutely magnificent last night. And then Ryan Kent with a sublime goal, picks the ball up in his own half, plays a neat little give and go with Glenn Kamara before striding forward and firing the ball into the back of the net, courtesy of a deflection as well, but it really was fantastic. Red Star, of course, huffed and puffed. They did get a penalty in stoppage time. Glenn Kamara giving it away, and he was booked as well. And the boy sent McGregor the wrong way. But it was too little, too late for the Serbians. Rangers had done the hard work, Joshua, and they progressed by 4-2 on aggregate and take their place in the hat for this afternoon's draw. What was your main takeaways from last night?
I want you to guess first, Derek. Right? Guess what the pass percentage was from Rangers. I've got it here in front of me. So let's say the average, I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's say it's around about 80%. Guess what it was last night?
60?
No, not that low. 70%, which is the lowest, I think, of the tournament so far. Rangers could not pass to one of the teammates. It was, I think, to say that the atmosphere spooked them. I don't know if that's, just adjusting to the environment or whatever, but I don't know about you, Derek, but I thought after the goal, you've seen for maybe 5 minutes, Rangers open up and start to play a bit and be a bit more expressive. Connor Goldson was starting to kind of try and find a teammate instead of clearing the ball. And to me, that showed, okay, they've naturally, I think, going to that, it's a difficult place to go, etc., but also on the back of a 3-0 lead, it's a difficult game to go and manage after conceding an early goal. So I think that's very much true, but they still got through the tie. Complete credit to them. They needed fighters. Thought John Lundstram was excellent. For me last night, what it showed, Derek, was a big pat on the back for Ross Wilson and the scouting team, because last season Rangers went out of this competition at this stage, and one of the key reasons for that was the lack of a kind of dominant midfielder who, when Rangers weren't playing well, when they needed to fight a little bit, when they needed someone to just be a bit combative in the middle of the pitch and drive their team forward at points. They didn't have that in the midfield of Stephen Davis and Glenn Kamara. And last night, for me, John Lundstram, even when Ryan Jack didn't have a great game, I thought John Lundstram was absolutely excellent. So I think that's just worth mentioning. Allan McGregor, as you say, rolling back the years, we can speak about him because, it was a fantastic performance over the both legs, but I've seen a lot of stuff kind of maybe, slagging people who are slagging him, and I think it's just kind of comes with the territory. He's not had a great season, not had a great few months, but the last couple of weeks have been excellent. And yeah, the team managed it. That goal from Ryan Kent so important. And once Rangers had that goal, I think they were safe because it kind of killed the momentum. But up until then, it was a little bit nervy, to say the least, Derek.
Yeah. Your point on McGregor, I've got a piece out on the website this morning, folks. Sublime over the two legs, and I know he came in for some criticism following the Motherwell game, Ross County and Hearts earlier on in the season, but he's shown he's got the mental toughness to come back from that, Joshua. And for me, he was he kept Rangers in the tie at points last night. I thought he was really, really fantastic. His agility defies his age, and for me, there's plenty of life in the old dog yet.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I don't know if there's another season in him, but he's certainly ending strong. No, I mean, I think the most important part of that game for me, Derek, is, and I've got this in front of me. There was 3 saves he made. One actually wasn't recorded as a save because it was from a corner just after halftime. But just before halftime and just after, Red Star had 3 shots. So they had one at, let me just get it up here. They had one at 45, and one at 46, one at 47, one at 48. And that's the most important part of the game, because if Rangers go on and score in the 56th minute with Ryan Kent, and I think that's what Allan McGregor, certainly, from my memory of the first time, the European run in 2008 was one of the first seasons that I was conscious enough to follow closely. And what I always remember about McGregor, even in that run where Rangers were defending a lot more, he built his ability to be a Rangers goalkeeper and be, in your mind, the best Rangers goalkeeper. But he built it on the back of pulling out saves at big moments, but also, maybe when his team had been up the pitch or when he hadn't done something for a few minutes. And I think last night was kind of the epitome of that, because to make those saves in those moments is so important. Rangers conceded a poor first goal. I mean, really poor. And I guess it's probably fair after the really poor goal that Sparta conceded from Red Star conceded from the corner in the reverse leg. But yeah, the timing of McGregor saves really important, and throughout he was excellent. I don't think it kind of turns away the fact that people. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, who wants him dropped from McLaughlin now?" I don't think it was a case of people, but people were calling for him to be dropped, and certainly I wrote a piece a couple of weeks ago looking at stats and saying he's cost Rangers goals because he had. Obviously, over the course of his career, he's in, not in the red zone. He's in a tremendous amount of credit. But his form is to and fro this season, and we wrote about that as well. He was poor under Gerrard, then he had that burst under Van Bronckhorst, then he had the dip, but think of Ross County away, Motherwell at home, and now it seems like he's on the upward trajectory again. So if Rangers can afford that at the end of the season, then that's great. But you know what I'm trying to say. There's two sides to it. Last night, don't take away from last night, which was just a fantastic goalkeeping display.
The thing that sits with me is Billy Thompson told me that if a goalkeeper, if he had 5 or 6 bad games in a season over the piece of, say, 40 games, and it's a terrific return. And I think Allan McGregor is very much in credit at the moment. So, hats off to him for last night. Good comment coming in from Graham Corkin. Lives down my neck of the woods. Good friend of the show. Brilliant performance over the 2 legs. Get in. And certainly we'll catch up with a beer with you soon, Graham. You mentioned Lundstram there, Joshua. He has become absolutely indispensable for Rangers. I mean, it was looking like he was heading out the door in January. There was calls, there was murmurings that he may be heading out on loan. However, he's come back in. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has trotted him at the heart of the midfield. And again, last night, he was a colossus in there. He just offers that physicality and an assuredness in midfield that you really need in games like this.
And you know what? The mad thing is, it wasn't long ago. I remember Rangers 5 Hearts 0, February 6th, I think. The Lundstram and Jack midfield, and Van Bronckhorst said after we needed that character in there. I remember the first few minutes in that game where, we sit right at the gantry, so we're right close to the pitch. And I remember Lundstram making a couple of kind of risky passes that came off, and there was murmurings. And at that point, he was still, every bad pass he had the whole kind of stadium on him. So as we said before, I think for him to come through that and have such an impressive couple of months, or a month and a half up until now, is so impressive. And it's just another example of players needing a bit of time. Lundstram said more than once at a press conference, if you're coming in to play defensive midfield, it's hard to set the world alight. He's played against Stirling Albion in January, and they had a decent game. I remember writing about it at the time, and I remember a lot of people or on Twitter kind of saying, well, look at Stirling Albion, but he needed games. This is the first real consistent run of games. The only other consistent run of games, Derek, came when Gerrard was in charge, and I think it was Dundee away, Hearts at home, and I want to maybe say not Aberdeen at home was when he kind of gave the goal up. So, as I said earlier in the show, he was the type of midfielder that Rangers lacked last season. The type of midfielder that when you went up against Slavia Prague last season, you thought there was a difference between these sides, and it is maybe a couple of physical players or a couple of players that can do that side of the game and play as well. And as I say, in a game where Rangers couldn't find their teammates, there was really no, apart from Kent's goal, I can't think of a single bit of attacking quality, if you can. I tweeted in the first half that Rangers needed something to stick, whether that be Kamara taking the ball into his feet, Morelos taking the ball into his feet, Kent running behind, but they just really had nothing. I think it's worth mentioning as well that I thought the Rangers quite struggled to deal with the direct approach from Red Star, and you've seen Calvin Bassey get pulled in a lot through no fault of his own because of the extra man. So Lundstram was a fighter in that game, but he also just added moments of composure, and as you say, fantastic performance from him. And again, shows the type of player that Rangers needed last season to take them into the next stage. It's quite nice symmetry that he was the dominant figure last night to get through to the last 8.
Yeah, most definitely. The goal, of course, was fantastic from Ryan Kent. Terrific run, and it really put the game, the tie, beyond any doubt. Really, it made the Rangers supporters breathe easy after that. Glenn Kamara's a comment came in as well, praising Glenn Kamara. I thought he came into the game, he grew into the game, Joshua. The first half sort of passed him by somewhat, but he had a real role to play in Kent's goal with the little neat layoff as well. Ross says here, says Kamara deserves a lot more credit for that flick into Kent's path. Really set up the counter-attack. It was a terrific goal, wasn't it?
And up until for the first half, Glenn Kamara had a terrible game. And it was so unlike him. I don't know if it was a pitch, I don't know, but how many times did Glenn Kamara get the ball? I was watching it at one point and I was thinking, this isn't Glenn Kamara. He always takes the ball in, regardless of if he's having a bad game. But yeah, credit to him, as Ross mentions, for that flick, because it was top class. You kind of, when I first seen it, I thought it was just a bounce back into the feet, but for him to kind of turn it around the corner like that was excellent. And I know I was calling for Aaron Ramsey to come on because I thought Rangers just needed someone to put the foot in the ball, and Ramsey turns so nicely in the ball, someone to just give them a little bit of composure in the final third. But another good decision from Van Bronckhorst to trust the players that were on the pitch, and I did think Kamara grew into the game. Rangers, they kind of went man for man in the midfield from the start, and as they did I think it was the second half last week. But as I say, I think Red Star's kind of physicality matched with that pitch, matched with the momentum of the crowds. They had 2 strikers, and then they had runs over the top, and in the same way that last week at Ibrox they did a similar thing with players overloading to one side and attacking them, and they needed to be really solid. So Kamara was excellent. I thought Morelos. There was one moment in the first half, I don't know if you remember it, where Rangers had a counter attack and Morelos just passed it into the feet of the 2v3, and at that moment you're thinking. Because before the game, I had real confidence that Rangers would exploit space well. Kent and Morelos have been excellent in the last 3 games. I don't know if that's a bit of tiredness as well coming into it, Derek. And I know Morelos went off, and hopefully there's nothing serious there. But for now, you've got a little bit of a break after Dundee. I think I'm right in saying that, Dundee on Sunday. There's been so many games that I've watched.
International break, yeah.
International break. I think it'll be maybe the first one that we welcome, because it will give the players a little bit of time to rest and recover after such a busy couple of months. And hopefully, I think you'll probably see Roof start there. I don't think they'll put Morelos to the well again, because, as I said, I did think last night was a bit of a tired performance from him.
Yeah. Let's look ahead to the draw then, Joshua, because of course Rangers now in the last 8 of the competition. A number of teams that they could get. They could get West Ham, Lyon, Braga, Eintracht Frankfurt, Atalanta, RB Leipzig, or Barcelona. Of the 7 teams, Joshua, is there anyone that would take your fancy?
I've been looking at this morning, and I don't know. I mean, I think you're at the stage of the competition where you just take anyone, don't you? Because that's how you've got here. You wouldn't, if you could have planned your route to the last 8, you wouldn't have picked Dortmund in the last 32. In terms of who you really want to avoid, in my opinion, I really wouldn't like to play Atalanta. Just because I think they're very good, and I think Rangers would probably struggle up against them. I would like to play West Ham, but I think they'd be a really tough test as well. So I think, listen, whoever Rangers get, even if it's Barcelona, I mean, Barcelona are still, I think, becoming the team that Xavi wants them to become, etc., etc. And they didn't thump Galatasaray, but you've seen in moments. I don't know if you've seen that. I think it was Pedro's goal last night. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I watched the game at the Nou Camp, and they weren't great. I've got to admit, they're nowhere near the Barcelona that we all know over the years. I think Rangers would have a right good chance against them. I've got to admit.
Yeah, I'm less confident about Barcelona. Must say. Braga. Would you take Braga again? Leipzig. Yes. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have a preference.
I would take anybody.
Yeah, I think you're at that point where. But I was speaking to a friend last night who supports an English. Is down south, supports an English team, and they were speaking about kind of what's the belief like and who would you like. This question, and I was kind of saying, do you know what? If Rangers can go and beat Dortmund, they can go and beat anyone. It doesn't mean they will. But I think you look at that team that started last night, the core of the team that started in Dortmund, I think with one exception or two exceptions. But the core of that team, you've got the physicality and the dominance in the midfield. You've got Kent's pace. You've got Morelos who can go and isolate himself against defenders. Tavernier coming in with goals and a kind of attacking momentum. You've just got I guess such a good balance. You've got the ability, as we seen last night, to go to a back five and to really sit and condense and be difficult to beat. And for me, Derek, it's a real natural. I wrote about this after one of the many games that has happened recently, maybe the Red Star game at home, but I don't think this run would have happened under Steven Gerrard. And that's not to say that he did an unbelievable job in Europe. His job in Europe is the reason that Rangers are here. But I just think that natural progression of bringing in a coach like Van Bronckhorst who changes things in games more regularly, has a little bit more variation in systems. I think that's just been so advantageous from Rangers, and it's also meant I think teams are figuring them out as they play them. We've seen last season even in the qualifiers against Malmo. I always mention this goal, but you look back at their first goal and how they had their whole team out the centre of the pitch. Malmo knew how to attack Rangers, and I think teams are still. It's maybe harder to analyse how Rangers are going to defend because they have different ways to do it. So, I think it's the same as you take anyone. And as I said in the show the other day, when I was speaking to someone at the club about this, people don't want to go to Ibrox. For all it'll be difficult to go to the Camp Nou or go away to Atalanta or whatever. People do not want to come to Ibrox because it's such a difficult place to go, and especially now on the quarter-final night. It'll be even more difficult than the last 16 and the last 32. So just fantastic achievement for the club to get here, and I'd urge everyone to enjoy it, as I'm sure they will. Yeah,
nice little comment coming in here from SMM. Good luck to Rangers from Red Star fan. Passion fans, we love it. Hope you make it all the way. Nice little message there. And I mean, fair play to the Red Star fans yesterday, Joshua. I mean, it was a right good atmosphere, and they kept backing their team all the way. And also credit as well for the travelling Rangers supporters to make that way all the way to Belgrade. Many of them would be making their way back home today. But again, they follow the team far and wide. And as the comment previously stated, any of the 7 teams that Rangers could draw, they're all decent distances in terms of travelling as well. So you'd imagine they'll be taking a fair few to whatever venue that they're drawn against.
Yeah, the noise did sound impressive last night, didn't it? But you had pockets of hearing the Rangers fans as well, especially after that the goal, Kent's goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the noise did sound definitely a game you'd have loved to be at. But then again, there's been a lot of conversation as well about that. Rangers European nights in relation to other European crowds, and maybe how the crowd kind of comes and goes with the team a little bit more. And I think that's a different type of environment to manage for opponents. So I think for the next round, you probably won't have as difficult an away game as Red Star. I think when the tie was made, that was what we all kind of thought. Going away there is going to be difficult.
Yeah,
it's going to be tricky. But Rangers did the good work in the first leg, and yeah, listen, looking back in that first leg, they had a bit of luck, but I guess that just happens in football sometimes. And when you get it, don't complain. Just trot on through to the next round.
Yeah, let's look ahead to Sunday then, because Rangers have a huge game up at Dens Park, the second game up there in a week. Vitally important to pick up all 3 points, Joshua. With the game, like you mentioned, Morelos, you touched on Morelos there. I think Kemar Roof will be a prime candidate to come in for him. Can you see many other changes for Sunday?
And with the price of petrol, these trips to Dundee are doing me no favours. But yeah, tomorrow I'm at the B team.
Yes,
Old
right enough.
Firm
Yeah,
in Ibrox, yes. So I'm sure a good few people will be going along there. Should be a good game, a decent crowd, and I think it's a tenner to get in, so that should be a good wee day as well. But yeah, especially given it's an early kickoff, Derek, and they're travelling back from Serbia. I don't know if it was this morning or last night. I think you'd see players like Roof come in from the start. Definitely Ramsey again. You'll have your players that will definitely play, being Tavernier and Goldson and whatnot. Probably maybe James Sands comes in again. I thought he was very good up at Dundee away.
yeah.
And going to an away ground twice in a row after winning always gives me a bit of the kind of heebie-jeebies, because nature tells that it should kind of, maybe roles should reverse and the opponent will get one back on you. But I don't think Dundee are a great team. And I think if Rangers play well, then they'll go and win, and they can sign off for the international break on a relative high. Maybe you'll see Barisic come in. I don't know. I thought he did okay when he came off the bench last night.
Yep.
I was slightly surprised to see him come on in that kind of environment, given that he's had a difficult month and we know how much of a confidence player he is. But yeah, maybe Ryan Jack drops out. Maybe I don't know if Joe Rebo plays. You've got to retain a good core of that team while still adding freshness, and I think Roof definitely deserves to be in from the start. Maybe you see Sakala start. I don't know. I think Kent's looked pretty fresh regardless of how many games he's played. Aaron Ramsey's the one for me who definitely comes in to play that similar role he did last time. And if Rangers go up and start with the same intensity they did last Sunday, they'll be absolutely fine. And hopefully get another 3 points before the international break, as you say.
Yeah, the game's coming thick and fast, folks. Okay, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. It really is much appreciated. On the Rangers review site this morning, as I mentioned, that piece from myself on Allan McGregor. I'd urge you all to go and check it out. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the site. Just £2.99 a month to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, thousands of you are doing so. Hit that subscribe button and you'll never miss a video when we go live. Okay, we'll be back again on Monday morning. But until then, if you're going to the game tomorrow at Ibrox, enjoy it. And likewise at Dens Park.